Just your dad calling. I was trying to find a stalker, Mom, and your name popped up. It's just me, your loving father. Where are you? I'm worried about you. How's Blaze? Huh? Hello? Hello? I love you. Talk to you later. Love you. Bye. It's your father. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today is super, super special because you guys have heard me talk about him. This is Brian Eng. He is a dear friend of mine. I met him in 2023. I know it feels like forever. He said, wow, I'm just saying, so I talk about him. He was um, very, very important for some of the healing I did after my dad died. He was very, very important here. He said some profound things, and I like to talk about him because he's only 29, 27 in my heart forever. So, what do we want to talk about today, Brian? Usually, my guests all have something they're selling. So I'm like, oh, what do you want to do? Tell me a little more about yourself. But yes, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I work in the same profession as Vesta in the sense that we both work in a department in the hospital called the cath lab. I'm a nurse. I've been doing travel nursing kind of for 2 to 3 years now. And I'm actually in nurse practitioner school at the same time in my second semester, finishing up my second semester at NYU in New York. So just wanted to go further into cardiology. I love it. Very passionate about many, many things, similar to anyone in my family. If you know us, if we get into something, we're gonna go dive deep. And so, just a big believer in loving life to the fullest, celebrating every moment that is just special to maybe no one, but it is special to me. Random things, like counting days, big celebrations, they're all something that I really enjoy. So love to share life with other people. Love to share food. I'm a big, big foodie. I'm a golfer, an avid outdoorsman, and I'm from Texas.
The great state.
Great state of Texas.
The great state.
I will always love Texas. If you're from Texas, shout out.
Oh, and he's talking about loving life. He really does. Everything he does is with gusto, and the hobbies, the things he knows, it's insane.
I'm a very curious person. I always have been. I've always been infatuated with many different hobbies or crafts or sports, whatever it is. I've always wanted to know more. I feel like I have a lifetime of careers ahead of me. It's just something that I'm passionate about right now. Um, and you can always become like just whoever you're meant to be at whatever time. And right now, diving deeper into cardiovascular, cardiothoracic surgery type of things. So
it's true. I think though one of the main reasons I asked you to be on here is because my podcast often talks about internal healing, and you're well beyond where I ever was in my 20s as far as enjoying life, taking care of your mental well-being. I think enjoying life is part of how we take care of our mental well-being.
absolutely.
So I talk about it in one of the episodes about grief, when there's a few specific memories that I remember about you specifically. There might be tears. So I talk about it. If you listen to the podcast all the time, you know the story. I've said it more than once. I came into work maybe the second week, maybe the third week after my dad died. And we were the 7 o'clock shift, me, you, and Luis. And I was like, let's go jump in the ocean after work. And you were like, okay. Not a question, just like, okay. And then my brain is like all over the place at this time. And I was like, maybe not. And you said, I want to go to the gym. And you said, if we something along the lines of like, if you want to go to the gym or if you want to go swim, we'll go swim. If you want to go swim and me come with you, I'll go with you. Whatever you need right now. I don't know. We didn't go that night, but I just don't know how I need you to know how much that meant to me. Just to know that you were there and it didn't matter what I needed and it was okay. that's that for at the time he was 27. Were you 27?
I might have been.
No. Oh yeah,
Um,
because you turned 28 in January, February.
yes, I
So you were
was.
27.
Yeah, I was gonna turn 28 then.
Yeah,
That
so you were
next January.
27.
Yeah.
People don't know that when you're grieving.
Yeah.
People don't know. People say things like, "Oh, I lost so and so. I'm so sorry." People don't know.
And I think one of the biggest things too is we don't even know what we need.
Right.
We don't know what we want. We don't know what we need at the time. It's something that will always be a surprise to us if we hear unfortunate news. And it's a very confusing time. Um, and especially because your mind is always expecting to run the same course, the norm, whatever's going on in your life, that you always have people to fall back on, and then all of a sudden something's different. And then but what's hard is that it's different for you, but it's not different for me in my life, right? And the unfortunate thing is uh you lost your father, and it was very hard on you, very hard on your family. But the rest of us, like, I never met your dad, but at the same time, we're both in a confused time because there's no way of me feeling that at the time. I hadn't lost my father. Um, but I can understand in a way that's more than just sympathy. Oh, I'm so sorry for you, so sorry for your loss, because uh, we all have those backbone foundation people in our lives. And the moment that something changes in that dramatic fashion, um, everything just gets unhinged, and that's okay. Um, we get nervous, we get anxious, and that shows that you care, and it shows that that person meant that much to you. And I think it's really, really a part of what makes us human, or else we wouldn't have any of those sincere thoughts. And the fact that we can have and share that together to really just feel that loss with someone else
Yeah.
is huge. Um, and I think at that time, Vesta had maybe wanted to go to the gym, maybe wanted to go in the ocean, maybe wanted to just go to bed. But Luis and I, and I'm sure any of us who would have been on staff that late night anyway too, would have been there and done anything as well.
Yeah, I think it was so important that I was here. And I know there's been so many travel assignments that I've been to that I do feel like I have such an amazing people are there and they love
Yeah.
me. They truly, truly do. But there was just something about being here. I felt it was really, really special for me.
And what's crazy is that I had only known you for
That was in October.
maybe 3.5 months,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Less than 4, I would say, because I started at Castle on July 24th, 2023.
Okay. So October 27th by
Yeah.
then.
So about 4 months. Is that right? 4 months?
Yeah, right.
August, September, October. No,
3.
3.
Yeah.
3. Yeah. And I think when you just meet people, even for a short amount of time like that, and you just know that you have a connection with each other, it is different. I mean, I've been on 8 cath lab travel assignments now. I've met hundreds of people, doctors, nurses, everything. Some people come and go. Some people you only meet for a couple weeks at a time. And some people you know that even if you're gonna only know them for 3 months, they'll stay in your life forever.
Yeah.
And it really, I think you know when you meet those people, and it's really, really special because it takes 2 people to have a good, meaningful relationship and a friendship, and to be able to just talk freely. And I think I knew from the beginning too, you're a very unique person. I don't think I've ever met and had a vegan friend from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and I don't think I ever will have another one.
Yeah, with the name of Vesta Hurlbut.
With Vesta Hurlbut. And because of that, my curious mind always wanted to know more about you. I've always just asked you tons of questions.
He does ask a lot of questions. It's good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I'll always ask questions.
But I think
Yeah.
your questions are always like they're not always, you know, but they're deep. He asked me lots of questions about Blaze. He asked me lots of questions about raising Blaze by myself, about his dad, about, I mean, just deep questions that I'm like, yeah, and they're good. And so he's a mental health human by accident,
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah.
So I like stories about your dad because I'm like, does your dad do mental health stuff? His dad has hobbies, which I love to hear about. The first hobby I heard about his dad's is the coffee machine.
Yep.
And Brian's a lot like this. He's got
I have a coffee right here. Very, very common.
But how many coffee? He doesn't have coffee pots. He has espresso machines.
Espresso machines. So these are like fine Italian, Swiss, and American espresso machines that you would, in the espresso world, pull a shot. So you are having a grinder. You buy whole beans and you're grinding it down to an espresso size. Instead of that's a little bit finer, more powdery than like a coffee grounds that you would have for like drip coffee. And it needs to be weighted correctly. So you have to have a scale. It needs to be pressed firmly, but not too firmly. And you're making what's called kind of like a puck. And the temperature has to be correct. The amount of water has to be correct. And the amount of pressure that you're creating this shot, or else it'll be too bitter, too long. It's a big science. And that was something that I got from him, just curiosity. He didn't know anything about espresso machines, but that was kind of, I think, a COVID hobby from him and my brother. Wanted to make coffee. He bought his first espresso machine probably in like 2020 to 2021, something like that. And within a year, he had maybe like 17 to 18 espresso machines. So they're all in our not living room, in the study, in the laundry room. They're on the walls. And the funny thing is, although my mom drinks coffee, she will not have a coffee from him because she wants to go to a coffee shop specifically to have the vibe. But I'll always have one from my dad. Yeah. And to the mental health part, is he a mental health person? I would say maybe even not so much. And the interesting thing about that is because, in case you're not seeing this on video, I'm Asian, and in a lot of Asian cultures, it's unfortunately not very talked about much.
Right.
People don't usually express their feelings openly. People don't commonly share that with their parents. Things are pretty straightforward. It's not that they don't love you and don't care about those things. It's almost kind of assumed that you're fine, you should be fine, or like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you got this beautiful life.
Yeah.
You should be happy with it.
It's definitely a stigma of no one typically asks how your mental health is doing. That's probably one of the most common questions I ask any of my friends. How's your mental health?
It's true. And every time if we share a payment, which I never share, but they pay each other, we pay each other, and then he always puts on the Venmo, it's for mental health.
No matter what it is, if I'm paying you back for pizza or coffee or a round of golf or dinner, splitting the bill, it will always be mental health. And for better or for worse. And I'm actually taking a class next semester, advanced mental health, and
Really?
across the lifespans. It's a required class. I would have taken it anyway, even if it wasn't. But that's one of the first year acute care NP classes at
Nice.
NYU.
Well, I like
I'm
that.
pretty excited to take
Yeah.
that. I think it's supposed to be on kind of how our mental health changes as we age, from career age or young to career to geriatric, all the way. How different things kind of affect your mental health.
Do you think you always felt safe going to your parents if you were having like mental health, both of your parents, or did you tend to go to your mom more than your dad?
Probably a little bit more towards my mom. My mom and I are very, very close. She would ask me I would ask her anything, she would ask me anything. Not that my dad doesn't care or my brother doesn't care, but I think especially as a guy thing, not just Asian thing, as a very
Right.
male thing, no one really talks about that.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's just expected. You should be fine. What's wrong with you? Nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with me. But that's not always the case, obviously. And so my mom is more receptive to it. I ask her very commonly too. But we're a very, very close-knit family. Everyone keeps up tabs with everyone, aunts, uncles, cousins, everything. So
Yeah, so I don't have that. And we went for a hike on Sunday, but I don't have super close. I have my sister and my brother, my sisters and my brother.
mhm.
And that's really like all I'm close to. I mean, my nieces, and their byproducts, I'll say.
Yeah.
Who I love very much. So I have them, and but other than that, I have my like a few here and there, but nothing like, and I feel like, do you think that's Asian culture too? In some
Yeah, I would say so. Family is a very big thing. One thing that I'm very happy within our family is that, again, alluding to the Asian thing, I'm sorry, but a lot of people in Asian families are very, they're always trying to one up each other, right? Uh, you really want to bring pride and honor to your family. And if cousin so and so is doing this, like, look at them, you should be doing that. How come you aren't doing this? And how come you have, but we don't really have any of that. I mean, not sure, competitive nature, yeah, we all do, but we've never really had like looking down on anyone for that matter. We're all very, very close, despite being physically by distance pretty far from each other. But I think that started with generations ahead, knowing that at that time, you don't have much and you have to stick together. You have to work really, really hard. And it's kind of ingrained in all of us from the very beginning, to really, really just be present and check in, do things for the family. I would hop on a plane anytime, anywhere, if anyone needed help in my family or friends. And, and recently they've done that for my dad too, as he's almost out of the hospital. Yeah. And I'll touch on that a little bit. So I've kept Vesta in the loop pretty closely throughout this time. Last month, February 13th, my dad was walking across the street from his normal routine walking trail, and he was hit by a car as a pedestrian. It's a pretty serious injury at the time, and he's spent a little over 3 weeks in the ICU, has now had 8 surgeries, all within the first 7 days, was given a 90% mortality rate, and has had many, many fractures, many, many injuries, internal injuries, and he is very, very lucky to be alive. It was a very big scare for our family, as obviously we're really, really close. And, even if this happened to a young person, the extent of his injuries were pretty dramatic. And he's 68, otherwise healthy before that. And he's supposed to get discharged in 2 days on Saturday. He's has always been awake and alert throughout this time to the best of his abilities. He's not going to be able to walk for a couple months, but he's not paralyzed. He hasn't had a stroke or any kind of infection. And it's really, really thanks to a great, incredible team and a lot of love and support from family and friends throughout this time. And, Vesta was one of the first people I told, because I believe we were going to meet up or do something when I came back.
I texted you. I don't remember what we were going to do. I texted you like, hey, what I say? Something like, hey, or no, you sent me a text and said, are you off today? It was a Tuesday.
Yes.
And I said,
That's right.
I was like, no, I'm working today. I was like, how are you? How was your trip? Because he was supposed to go.
Yep.
So he talked about celebrating days.
Yes.
And he celebrated his not recently, his 10,000th day alive. So you were going to originally you were supposed to go
Correct.
celebrate your dad's 25,000th.
Correct. We had made a trip. My dad was going to turn 25,000 days old exactly on February 20th. And I had planned a trip to meet them. I was going to fly from Hawaii to Vancouver, Canada, because that's where some of his favorite food is with my mom. I was going to fly them up. We are going to meet there. And 3 days before they were supposed to take off is when the accident happened. So he's been in the hospital since then. And obviously we didn't get to go, but on that 25,000th day, he had his last surgery, got extubated. We got a big cake for him and everything, and he was finally able to talk a little bit, and he's come a long way.
When
But
you, yeah, wait, when he came to so we are both back on island in Hawaii
Correct.
randomly, kind of. He is at a different hospital than me. He said he needed a hug. So I was like, oh yeah, come on. I didn't know, I know nothing. So he's telling us the story in very great detail. And you can feel it's still fresh for him for sure.
Yeah.
But you said I hope you know how special you are. But you said my dad had 3 surgeries with a 90% mortality rate. How amazing is it that he got picked up in such a timely fashion? How amazing is it that my dad had 3 surgeries? How amazing is it that my mom, I'm sorry, I'm crying, but how amazing is it that my mom, who is a smart woman but doesn't know anything about healthcare, so she's
Correct.
kind of ignorant
Yep.
and like blissfully ignorant on what all the things that are happening around his dad's surgeries and all the things. And you say, how amazing is it that like my dad's still alive? And you're saying it's so easy for people, everyone, to just stick in that negative so easily. And you
Yeah.
just go, it's so like I'm awestruck. Like every time anything happens, you have a positive attitude.
Yeah. Oh, one of the awestruck things that hit me too, and I remember telling you this, was that um, and I'm gonna tear up on this part. Obviously, our parents are, for many of us, are in our lives for a very, very long time. And I hope that everyone gets to share the love of their parents for a lifetime, really. But you always love your parents and you always know that you love them. But until I saw my dad in the hospital in that shape, in a new way that I'd never seen him before, he didn't look like himself. He had lost, the surgeons had told us that he had lost over 2.5 times the human body's amount of blood. And they did all these life-saving procedures on him in the first 24 hours. They pumped him full of fluids and full of meds to keep him alive. And I flew overnight to Hawaii, not even knowing if by the time I landed that he would be dead or alive. And when I saw him, and he had so much edema in his whole body, especially his face and his neck. And edema, for those who are not in the healthcare field, is swelling. It's swelling from excess fluid. And because he had lost so much, they replaced so much. And he could hardly open his eyes. He had a breathing tube in. He's on a ventilator. He's on medications that it is safe to say it is life support at that time. And I didn't know that I could love my dad more than what I already did. Um, and I think that's kind of what we had talked about in the past 20 minutes of like uh, when things change from the norm of just, oh, I should be able to call my dad up, no problem. And I know my parents' normal routine. They go on this, they do that. And then all of a sudden I wake up at 7:35 in the morning Hawaii time, and my brother tells me that, hey, dad's been in a serious accident. Dad got hit by a car and he's headed to the hospital. and don't know if he's alive. It it shook me, of course, and you feel helpless. You
Feel
don't
really
know.
far away
You
too.
feel really far
Right.
away. It is a long way away.
Hawaii is beautiful, and there are a million things that are so amazing.
Yeah.
But when you feel really far away.
And the first flight out, I couldn't fly out until 8 p.m. that night, and I was told at 7:30 in the morning. The first flight that could get me home the earliest is 8 p.m. So I spent over 12 hours just figuratively pulling my hair out, just waiting to hear updates, seeing, and then getting on a plane blindly, not knowing if he'll be alive at that point. And thankfully, that he is, and not just that, he's thriving. He's doing really, really well. But as beautiful as Hawaii is, I cannot wait to just go home and sit on the back porch and have what's called a sanctimonium beer. That is his favorite beer from a local brewery. Plant plumerias in the backyard like we do every year. He's new hobby right now is gardening Hawaiian plants. So plumerias and bird of paradise. And I'll be doing the planting this year because he usually does. But obviously he won't be able to be standing and digging with a shovel and everything. So
He'll just be bossing you around.
yeah, yeah. But it's almost like, I don't even know if honored is the right word to say. I mean, yeah, but it's like I know that first beer together will be probably one of the happiest moments of my life because you never really know how special a situation like that in a person is until it's right on the cusp of being taken away. And unfortunately, I get it. I spent weeks in the hospital with him, and a lot of people don't have a happy story. We know it. We're in the hospital all the time as workers, and it's not always so pleasant. And it has honestly, truly, seeing the staff that's taking care of him, it really has changed me personally as a healthcare worker. I My mom had said, "Oh, everything. I wonder if everything really does happen for a reason." And like, if that's true, what's this reasoning that as to why this accident happened to him and how our lives have changed since then? And uh, I always thought I was a careful driver, but now I'm even more careful. I always thought that I was a pretty good healthcare worker. I care, I try.
He is. I'm just saying.
But now even more. Like, I've learned so much just like watching his care. I've found a new passion in my own studies and in my own avenue of where I want to go when I end up, simply because, I see how much work went into my dad, and I can offer that same help and services. And, I want to tell those staff, like, all those long hours that you spent studying, all that time that you went to clinicals or the parties that you gave up so that you could finish school or working late, like it really does matter. And uh, even if it's those crappy modules that you have to do every year and you learned one single thing from clicking through, and if that one thing reminded you of something in the way that you helped take care of my dad as an EMT, as a cop, as a surgeon, as a tech, pharmacy, whatever, nurses, all the whole avenue, it made a difference. It really did.
Yeah, I think
So.
as healthcare workers, it's all, we want the money, of course. Like
Sure.
it's not just a paycheck. We always want to be nice and kind. And we had a repeat patient yesterday. And he said, I remember you guys like to laugh. That's what he said when we put him on the table. I was like, oh, nice. It was me and Tiffany.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah. So I think as for you, you already appreciate life. You already appreciated your dad. One thing that I talk about regularly too is how much my dad knew I loved him. He knew I appreciated him. He knew, but 10 years ago, he probably didn't. I just happen to be on this lifelong journey of like
Sure.
trying to find who I am and trying to find this inner freedom, emotional freedom that makes me happy. And in the last 5 years, I told him I appreciated him. He called me every week. He called me the day before I died, and I talked to him. Thank God, like all that stuff. But you do that already. You did that before the accident. And now you're gonna do it more.
Oh yeah. I mean, uh, I've been calling my mom a lot. He doesn't have his phone in the hospital, but I call every day. I just talked to them on the way here, and he had told me that he's doing well and that the urologist said that he can have his last JP drain out. So they took it out, and that his Foley catheter will come out tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Which is huge, given his injuries. I won't go too in depth of all of his total injuries. It's a lot. It's an extensive list.
Yeah,
but
he's lucky. I mean, people, when you like, it's a miracle he's alive.
Yeah, it's not just a miracle that he's alive. It's a miracle that he's not paralyzed. That he has no cognitive or mental deficits. Hasn't had any mobility or sensory issues in terms of like lost sensation or weakness on one side or the other. None of that. Of course, he had a pelvic injury, so he's going to have to learn to like kind of balance and restructure his walking a little bit, but all of that should come back in time. But yeah, we're very, very fortunate. And now my mom is, I think she should be ready at the house, hopefully.
Well, only 1 week, right?
Only
She only
one
has to do 1 week.
Yeah, so I'll go back home and I'll help them out. And my brother's there for a little bit longer too. So yeah, he's got a very good support system, and I think that's been huge for his mental health. And actually now that you say it, I've actually talked quite a bit with him recently about his mental status, because not only has the psychiatric doctor come in and talk with him about this traumatic experience, how are you feeling? And I think my mom has said that they've asked him tons of questions and just seeing if he's had nightmares or dreams, and that even if he doesn't right now, he could in the future. And of course, you're not immune to that. But I think the thing that I get from him is that there's so many more things in life to be looking forward to, and that mentally and physically he wasn't ready to give up. Wasn't ready to give up seeing those things. Of course, I'm single. I'm not trying to put it out there. Maybe. But but my dad is both my parents, but my dad especially is always asking me like, you have a girlfriend yet? Are you gonna, you find someone? My brother's married and have a kid already. So he wants to see that. He wants to see me get married one day, and he sees his grandchild on my brother's side. And those are all motivating factors for him. And so despite having a really crappy situation happen to him, and it's now limited him in that way for this amount of time and time to come, he knows that you can think really, really negatively about this and just give up. And I think that plays a huge, huge role in your recovery process too. If he just was super down about it and didn't want to try, there's a lot of studies showing about your stress levels, about your mental impairment if you're not willing to kind of thrive. And he's definitely shown a lot of fight, both mentally and physically. And so not only are we lucky to have him, I'm lucky to kind of share in that too and bring that along in my own life of looking forward to the things that I have to come still. And why not share that with any person that you come across?
Well, you do. You absolutely do. How do you stay happy being so far away right now? I know, because it's easy saying, Brian, we've been back in Hawaii for since January. He hasn't been back in the water.
Yeah, I haven't.
Mario said, bro, I keep telling him, this has been before. He's like, I've told him, you got to get in the water.
I know.
This
I
is
know. And I love the water. I'm not afraid of the water. My first time in Hawaii, I've lived here for a little over a year now, and I love snorkeling. I've kayaked in the oceans to different islands, not far islands, the Mokes. Um,
I've done
surf,
them.
I've done all of that stuff. But this time, I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't gotten in the ocean. But I did tell myself, after this podcast is over, we're going in the ocean.
Today?
I brought a change of clothes, so we'll go. But it is healing. And how I kind of keep my. Your question was
How do
right.
you stay happy? How do you like because you're so far away?
Yeah,
Because sometimes I get so homesick and
that's true.
I cocoon.
And it is different because a lot of us, especially both of us, we don't have any family here on island with us, whereas a lot of our staff member friends and colleagues, they're either from here and have that support system nearby, or can easily hop over to a family's house. For me, I think what keeps me happy and keeps me motivated again is simply what I'm looking forward to. I I mean, I cannot wait to pick up a shovel and dig some holes in the ground because I love my dad that much. And that's something that I'm really, really looking forward to. We just talked about it earlier. Um, and I know that that he I, my friends asked me, I was playing golf earlier, like, do you want a beer? And I said no. The last beer I had was at Kazuna about a month ago, month and a
Oh,
half
right
ago.
after you that Tuesday.
Correct.
Oh,
And I
really?
told myself at that time, then this is the last beer I'm going to have because the next beer I'm going to have is I'm going to share it with my dad. And I promised my dad that when I went home, that that next time I'm back, uh, we'll have some sanctimoniums and share that together. And so when looking forward to that, you know, I'm not trying to make the days go faster, but it does in that sense. You know, looking forward to those things, obviously keeping up with hobbies of my own. Um, I write a lot of letters.
Yeah, handwrites letters.
I handwrite a lot of letters. I'm into that. I've got my own wax seal stamp with my own personal seal. I've got stationery. I collect stamps themselves, and I think I have three of my fountain pens here.
Yeah, you ever been around people who are like start a lot of things? That's me. I start a few things, or I'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get into this for a little while," and I'll know half the stuff about it. Brian never does that.
Yeah.
He is either all in, and he will
Yeah.
learn everything. We were when Blaze was coming here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever he came here. We met at Whole Foods, and you could see the airplanes taking
Yep.
like kind of far away in the
Yep.
distance. And he said, so he pulls up, he has his computer there and he pulls up this website and we're watching. He's like, he's probably on, he finds Blaze's airplane and it lands. He's like, that's
Oh,
probably
we
him.
even saw it, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's his plane right
Yep,
there.
we
He's
saw
coming in.
it. And he said, that's probably him right there. And sure as shit, like 2 minutes later, Blaze texted me like, I just landed.
I'm just so fascinated with so many different things. And again, like that stems from my dad because my brother's the same way. And it's interesting because my dad is an engineer. He's retired now. So he likes not like heavy machinery, but like he likes how things work. Like the espresso machines. Um, he's into guns, he's into clocks. There's oh my God, there's like guitars, there's so many clocks. So I was winding up all the clocks in the house last time I went to. It takes about honestly, it takes 30 minutes to walk around the house and just wind all of them up and set the time and wind them. And you have to do that every couple days. Um, I'm not an engineer myself. I've never been the terms of like, oh, I want to take this apart and put it back together and build it. But I share that same passion of like getting into things. So when I am into something, I really, really nerd out about it. So got into journaling, that dove into pens, and so now I have a lot of fountain pens.
You pay a lot of money for them?
Some of them are gifts. My parents have given me a couple, but I've bought quite a few. My most recent one is from here, actually, in Hawaii. It has koa wood. And it's a 14K medium gold nib.
See,
And
yeah.
I have Mont Blanc cool gray ink in it right now. So, it all has to do with the piston syringe, or if you don't want to do that, you can have cartridges. I like to, kind of draw up my own ink, and you can change the colors very easily too. So emerald green, or it's actually Irish green is what I have. Royal blue, cool gray, I think coffee brown, and something else. But yeah.
You can just change them out.
Well, if you have a cartridge, like when you have your normal ballpoint pen, like that will dry up. So that is kind of looks like a plastic cylinder with dried ink in it. It's not necessarily dry, but if you want to do that and you don't want to finish your color, you could just disconnect that by taking apart your pen and putting in a new colored cartridge. But you're going to have to run that color out of the nib first. If you don't want to do that, you'd have to flush all of your liquid ink out, either ideally not back in the glass jar. So try not to waste it. You could flush it down the sink. You would need to run the nib down under like cool water. You can kind of flush it through. It's like a plunger. So you can like suck it up, flush it out, suck it up, flush it out. Some of them are twist. And then draw up a new color of your choice. So I typically write green when I'm in a new place. Because green growth, kind of life. And so whenever I'm at a new place, I bring green ink and I write in green, and I'll always send you a stamp that has something to do with you.
Interesting.
So whoever I'm writing to, if I know that you're into wildlife or birds, for example, then I'll send you something about that. Most recently, I sent one to a cousin. They were visiting a waterfall, so I sent them one of a waterfall.
Oh, very nice.
So I keep a big collection. Probably once a month, I'll go to the post office and nerd out and ask them, what new stamps do you have? So that's expensive too. Stamps are really expensive.
Yeah,
and now forever stamps are not 50 cents. They're like 60 something cents.
Wait, just as one stamp is 60 some cents?
Yeah, it's not 50 anymore.
I cannot tell you the last time I used a stamp.
Yeah.
Because I don't use them.
Well, I've been told from some postal people that I have to actually put more than what a forever stamp is worth, because when I use my weight, or the weight of the envelope, the letter, and my wax seal stamp, even though it's not much, because of like either the thickness or the weight, sometimes I feel like they're a little reluctant or hesitant to send it out, even if I just drop it in the like to-go box. So a lot of times I'll just put an extra stamp on now. But
do they have smaller stamps? Like
you can buy 1 cent stamps, 5 cent. Yeah.
If they still did that.
I typically don't buy those. I'll just overpay anyway. I'm creating a massive collage of every stamp sheet I have. I save at least 4 in a box.
Okay.
So like you have a sheet and has like 10 or 20.
Yeah.
So I'll save 4 of them that are touching on to each other. So I won't use all of that.
What are you going to do with them?
Well, I was gonna, I don't know the texture that would stick very well. At first I thought glass. Not like a painting canvas, and I don't want just like printer paper.
Right.
But basically I wanted to make a massive collage. Of it. I mean, it'll look like a hodgepodge, multicolor random thing, because some are colors, some are designs, some are people. But because you have a 4, it kind of fits well with the rest of the stamps. And I was just gonna get a massive frame and put it on a wall somewhere of stamps that I've collected. But the problem is I keep getting more stamps, and this is just gonna keep growing and growing. So I don't even know.
You're gonna have a whole wall.
Yeah.
In your someday.
Well, a normal like picture frame wouldn't do it.
No. You're gonna keep.
But I don't want them to peel off too, because in the sunlight it would be bad.
Yeah.
And it's like stamps are sticky, but it's not like that sticky. And as they age, I don't want them to slowly peel off, but I also don't want to like plaster it with some kind of glue. So I haven't figured that out of texture.
I have one pack of Yoda stamps
I've got some Star
framed
Wars ones, yeah.
on my wall because it was a gift for Blaze when he was
Okay.
younger. And then
Oh, those are probably some vintage ones.
are they? I don't know. He was probably 12, 9 years
Yeah.
ago.
Well, stamp collectors, there's always something that someone's collecting. So
Yeah, I don't know. I just have it hanging because it was a gift.
yeah. But I'm into tons of hobbies. Ton, ton.
And he doesn't forget.
Yeah.
Like,
I try not to.
it's good.
Make a running list of restaurants that I've been to.
And
Got a huge
a
list.
huge list. Not only does he have a
Every
huge
city.
list, every single restaurant he goes to, he gives 1, 2, or 3 stars.
Correct.
And he goes to a lot of restaurants.
Yep.
Who was just talking about it?
I
Somebody
just
at
went
work.
last night
Oh, where'd you
with
go?
Chad
Oh, where'd you guys go?
to
Sushi?
a tempura omakase restaurant called Tempura Ichika,
In
which
town?
is yes, near the Ala Moana Mall. Instead of like the chef handing you omakase sushi pieces, where that would mean like kind of chef's choice. Here's
Okay.
what omakase means, like it's a kind of a set menu in the way that the chef is only going to give you what is best today.
Okay.
So like if we have this type of fish, this is what you're getting, one piece by piece. But instead of sushi pieces, it's focused on tempura. So the light batter fry, 3 stars.
3 stars.
Yeah,
That's
that was
a big deal.
great.
That's good.
Very clean, very modern, fancy establishment. It was great food. It was great service. But I think best of all, and I told Chad, the reason why I'm giving it a 3rd star is camaraderie because you're here.
Because Chad was there.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's super, super important because a lot of times, I'm eating by myself and I'll still give a place multiple stars if I eat by myself, but it really does make a difference when you're sharing with other people.
but don't you think you bring that? I said it Brian and I actually both took off a year from Hawaii, kind of.
Mhm.
And
Pretty
he came
much.
back right around the same time.
Yep.
I left a little bit before him, and he came back a little bit before me. But when I was in Virginia Beach, and I did stuff with my friends in Virginia. I had a friend, Tabitha. I knew her in 2008, and then I saw, so I had people there, and we hung out, but not that much, not as much as we did, in 23 here.
Yeah.
But you do that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
You bring that.
I really do try to make it a point to like spend time with friends, especially like life is so precious and why waste it super stressed out or just I have my own stresses, I have my own anxieties, sure. But if you can share an experience with someone and they can kind of enjoy that with you, I think that's always, always, always the way to go. Oftentimes, like we've been to beautiful places in Hawaii. Some of them I've been to myself, and I'm just thinking and sitting there, man, I really wish I had someone to share this with.
He said that one time.
I really wish that I was looking at this view or this mountain or this waterfall with someone. And often I've now come to find myself, I don't want to go to this certain thing until I'm with someone.
So I was okay. So that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Brandon's like that. He won't do things because he'll be like, I want to do it when I'm with someone.
Yeah.
I have the opposite. Not that I have the opposite.
It's okay to go by yourself
Yeah.
to a restaurant or to go hike or whatever. It is completely okay. We all need our own alone time. But again, there's so many different things like we went on the Willy Willy Nui hike.
Yeah.
And that was great. Really kicked my ass. But
it was really beautiful. It was really
But then we were almost to the
fun.
top, and I thought to myself, I am the first in my bloodline to ever step foot right here. And you are too. And you are too, Brandon. And that's incredible. And guess what? We're all here together.
No.
We're all doing it together. Yeah. And yeah, I think sharing memories, sharing stories, you'll always remember it a little bit more than when you did it yourself. So I always try to plan trips or plan restaurants with other people to share. Kind of got milestone celebrations planned. And I just love to celebrate life together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Krista, my friend Krista, her and her kids, they all celebrate their half birthdays too.
Oh, I never heard of that.
So
What's
they
that?
celebrate their birthday and then
Oh,
6 months
like,
later a half
okay.
birthday. So every year they get 2 celebrations. And so now I'm telling
Do you
her
know
right
why they
now,
do that?
no, because they have kids and the kids I don't know, it just came up one day maybe like
So it
I
should
could
be the
ask her.
same day every time, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
my birthday's January 31st, so every whatever the exact half is, that
right,
would be mine.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so now I just gave her another reason to celebrate.
Yeah.
Another day to celebrate her 10,000th day or 5,000th day. Her kids are young. Not like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, Blaze should be coming. Wait, how old are you for your 10,000 days?
You're about 27
Okay,
and
yeah.
like 4 to 6 months old. So the story on that, everyone, is that a couple years back, I was talking with some friends, and we were just discussing like how it's so strange that we call it how happy birthday, and yet we're counting in years. Happy birthday, Vesta. You are XYZ years old. How does that make sense? Off of a calendar that we just happen to follow because of the course of history. We follow the Gregorian calendar, which is off of Pope Gregory in the Roman Empire, or like kind of Pope times. And yet the rest of the world, people follow the lunar calendar, the Islamic calendar, with moons and everything. But no matter who you are, where you are, what culture, where you live, a day is a day. 24 hours, the sun rises and we're in orbit and everything, and that is a fact. So no matter what calendar you follow, this is how it is. So why don't we just count in days instead of years based off a calendar that is 365 and changes year to year with leap years and all that kind of stuff. And so at the time I had looked myself up. You can do it yourself. You just type in days since calculator. First thing will come up was timeanddate.com, I believe. And you can type in any date that you want. Could be hundreds of years ago, could be 10 days ago. And then you put in a future date and you'll figure out exactly how many days that is. Make sure to include the actual date, end date. I was nearing 9,000 at the time. And I was like, man, that's so cool. I'm almost to a really big milestone. And I was able to kind of tinker with the days and figure out exactly when my 10,000th was. And I made a very, very big trip. I was in Hawaii at the time, and I celebrated that.
Were you on Hilo?
I was in Hilo, and I flew. I told myself, well, where do I want to be, and what do I want to do for my 10,000th day on Earth? And I decided that I wanted to go to a little tiny town called Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland, which is a valley of, I think, 72 or 82 waterfalls.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
It's up in the Swiss Alps, and it's like this little city. I don't even know. It wouldn't even call it a city. It's like a local little village town, maybe a couple hundred people, a couple thousand. And it's situated in this like high valley where there's like waterfalls just pouring over the sides of these mountains into this valley onto grass, onto rocks, and you can walk right up to them. You can get under the water. You can go behind the waterfalls. You can hike up to the top of the waterfalls in some instances, and some of them are hidden behind caves, networks that you can kind of walk through. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And so I had seen that, and that's where I wanted to go. So I did a week in Switzerland and then a week in Italy, and it was incredible. So I spent my 10,000th day doing that, and on my 9,999th, yeah, 9,999, I went paragliding for the first time.
Wait, here in Hawaii?
No, in Switzerland.
Oh, nice.
I was in Interlaken, Switzerland, and well, that is one way to not reach 10,000 potentially. It's very dangerous.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Well, I've never been skydiving.
Okay.
So skydiving, obviously, you jump out of a plane,
Right.
pull the parachute.
So you paraglided by yourself?
No.
Okay.
So paragliding.
My dad used to want to do it so bad. He used to talk about it.
So
you could see him in my town. So I don't know if
Oh
there
yeah.
was, like people.
Well, they do it here in Hawaii too.
Yeah.
But people get it mixed up. There's hang gliding, and there's paragliding,
Yeah, I'm even thinking about hang
and then
gliding.
there's like bungee jumping. And
Right. What's the difference between hang gliding and paragliding?
so hang gliding is when you have the crossbar
Yeah, that's what my
and
dad
there's
wanted
that
to do.
triangle paper plane
That's-
looking thing on top of you,
That's what my
and
dad
you're
wanted to do.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. It's just you and you turn to make
Correct.
the thing go.
That is extremely dangerous because
Okay.
you're in the sense you're all of them. You're kind of at the mercy of the wind
Yeah.
But the reason why I chose paragliding over uh skydiving is that the parachute is already deployed.
Okay.
So when you jump out of an airplane, your parachute's not deployed,
Right.
and you have to hope that the person, your tandem, is gonna not only pull it, but everything happens to deploy well, and they can safely guide you down. This has its own scare in the way that the you're already attached to each other, and the parachute is out of the backpack on the ground behind you, already deployed, and then you run off a cliff together.
Oh fuck that.
So you're
So it's like base jumping almost.
well, they drove us up to like this really high hill. It took like 20 minutes.
A
We're
straight,
just
yeah.
beautiful drive, but we're just winding through these hills and mountains. We park the van or park the car, whatever. We get out, we get attached, do a quick little briefing. And I remember the one rule that they said is do not stop running. We have to like catch speed. So as you're running down the hill, down the cliff, the winds are going up the hill and catching on the parachute. And you can start to feel like you're getting lightened. And they were very big on like, how much do you weigh? Don't bring anything in your pockets. And I'm like 180. And they're like, oh, that's at the cusp. I don't know if we can. And I was like, what? Like, I'm not that big of a person, but it really makes a difference of like how long you can stay in the air. And yeah, even if you feel like we're at good speed and that you feel like you're getting lifted off, like you have to keep your feet moving and you have to keep running. So we're just running, and then all of a sudden the ground just separates from you and you're just soaring in the air. And we were up in the air for like maybe 30, 40 minutes.
Oh wow, a long time.
Yeah. You just kind of glide back and forth, and they kind of turn into the mountain, and it looks like you're going to crash, and then a gust of wind just rises you up, and you keep making those figure eights until you're higher. And we ended up being higher than the mountain itself.
So you go what, up?
You're going up. Even though you're looking down and like you feel like you just glide all the way down to the city, instead of just gliding down from the high up spot, they make turns like figure eights. So we go out away from the mountain and we turn back to the mountain. And because the winds are always riding up the trees and up the mountain face, you gain that lift.
Oh.
And so we are rising. Then we turn back out. Now we rise again. Now we're even higher. Then out. And then eventually, when you're higher than the mountain itself, now the winds are not pushing you up. You're just like at level.
Yeah.
And then you soar all the way down.
Nice.
And long conversation with that guy, since we're like 30, 40 minutes just up in the air together, right on my ass. We were talking about that, and he was like, what brought you here? And I was like, well, I flew from Hawaii, and here, I'm here because I'm celebrating a big milestone. And he was really interested in knowing after we talked, he was like, I really want to know how old I am. And we looked it up. On that day, he was exactly 14,000 days old.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Took a picture together.
Nice.
So I was 9,999.
So everyone was nice?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Loved
good.
it. Loved it. So count how many days you are. Don't let it pass. Celebrate it, because my next big milestone that I'm going to celebrate is 11111. Because I'm somewhere in the late 10,000s now.
I don't know where I'm. So I'm closer to 20.
20 would be about 54 in 10 months.
So I got 8 years.
Yeah. So you could be in the 16 to 18,000 range, maybe.
Nice.
No matter if that milestone is a milestone, I was talking to my dad about that, because we unfortunately spent his 25,000th in the hospital instead of on the trip. And he was like, no matter what day it is, every day now is a blessing. It doesn't matter if it's 25,001, 25,002, because, I hate to think of it that way, but could have been short at 24,997. Do I think you're any less of a person or love you any less that number? No.
Right.
So, I look at it now like trying to think of what number day it'll be when my brother, myself, and my dad get to share that beer together.
That's your next
Yeah,
what you're gonna figure out. Your brother will be there too.
yeah.
Yeah.
My mom will too, but she doesn't drink beer, so I don't know. You probably have a nice hot tea in Texas this summer. Not summer, but
It is warm there now, yeah.
yeah, I think it's in the probably close to low mid 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be there till August.
Mhm.
Then he's moving to New York City
New York
for the
City.
next 2 years
Yep.
to do his
My classes become in person. My clinicals will be in person at either NYU Langone or at Mount Sinai or New York Presbyterian. So they set it up all for you, clinicals. It'll be busy. Kind of have to balance work, class, studying, exams, and clinicals with social life too. But
so what are
no
you
better
most
place.
looking forward to?
the food.
I knew it.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in New York. I really have. And the food has always been amazing and it always will be. But I think despite that, I've never really gotten to experience living in New York myself. So going to shows or sporting events, I mean, it's got all the major sports. If you love
Nice, yeah.
basketball, if you love football, baseball, hockey,
Have you been to
tennis,
any
golf. No. I've been to Yankee Stadium one time, but it got rained out and delayed and canceled, so I didn't get to actually see the game. I've been to a lot of the places, but never really seen games. So the hardest thing for me to do will be to continue my golf game in such a vibrant kind of urban environment.
But do they have
They have indoor
in
places.
Top Golf? Oh, maybe not. Even
There's
Topgolf.
Chelsea Piers.
Okay.
So on the probably around this, I wouldn't even call it Lower West Side. Maybe like 30s. Chelsea's on the west side. You can hit there, but that's really expensive. The best thing to do is probably just honestly just leave the city and go out to a suburb and play.
Wow.
So
So then
there's not obviously there are some municipals in New York City, like in the Bronx, or I think maybe one in far, far up Manhattan, but they're extremely busy and I think a little overpriced. And
So then if you come back to visit, Mario will definitely beat you.
I lost to him today.
Did you?
Yeah, he did really well. Really, really well.
Because all he's been doing is playing golf.
Well, we
Work's
always
not
say it's
work's
crazy.
not getting in his
It's
way.
embarrassing. I'm losing to a geriatric patient. I hate to make people feel old. I really do. But the textbook in nursing school says geriatrics is 55 plus, which I don't agree with. And I actually am going into the full name is adult gerontology acute care nurse practitioner. So anything from 18 to old.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that stuck with me because I felt that it was so strange, like 55. Why 55?
But you were
And even then, what happens at age 55 that just changes?
right.
Like,
well, and you
I don't
were
know.
young. How old? I mean, you're still young. How old were you when you went to nursing school?
20-ish, 21-ish
Yeah.
to maybe 22, 23-ish.
Because like 55, well, it's not old to me.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't think that's
6, but
old.
like
Yeah.
at one time maybe you thought it was old, and
Yeah.
then with the older you get, the older old gets.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get a real job, not that kids don't have real jobs, but like you start working with people like
Yeah.
you're 27,
Yeah. It's all
46, Brandon's in
blended.
between us. Luis
Yeah.
is also geriatric.
Yeah, but it's all. I mean, I have a really hard time seeing age, especially when working with coworkers. Like, I don't even think about it or look at it. I just kind of, in my mind, playfully, we're all the same age. Like, I wouldn't think, oh man, one of my closest friends I'm traveling is like in Hilo is a 57-year-old Jamaican guy.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Andre and I are really close friends, but when would I ever go make that friendship outside of work? I'm not like seeking
Right.
people that age necessarily, but because we have the same commonalities, we get together, we work together, um, we share hobbies or whatever, I'm your friend.
Right.
And I find that super strange that, some people care so much about age, but I think it's hard to say, like friendships, life, it's all timeless.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Right.
It doesn't really
Right.
matter. And a patient the other day, I think they were in their 80s. They were like, "Oh, don't get old, Brian. It sucks.
My grandma told
You don't
me
want to
that.
get old. Getting old is just terrible." And I'm thinking to myself, "What do you want me to do, lady? Like, what do you mean? We all go forward. Am I just supposed to end it right here? Don't get old. It sucks." Like, okay, so is it good right now? Sure. And what am I supposed to do then? Because I want to become a centenarian.
So do I. That's my goal.
So
I don't want to be a good one.
yeah.
Well, there's a difference between.
Dr. Michael Yee is getting me there.
Oh man.
So is Dr. Hinkson Chun. 2 doctors in Hawaii that unfortunately I cannot have them as my own doctor because I don't really need anything right now, cardiology based.
Well, he retires in a month.
Yeah.
Month and a half.
But just influential people who really just care for their patients, but also care for the people around them and really want to see you be the best version of yourself. And I think that's huge.
I only know one of the 2 doctors he's talking about, and
for being such busy people, with a lot on their plate, with a lot of responsibility for them, and someone like Dr. Yee to take the time to like talk with you as a staff member and just say like, "Hey Brian, I know you really like to eat food," but he didn't say it these exact words, but in a loving way. You really need to take care of yourself. And you really need to, not necessarily watch what you eat, but like if you want these goals, if you want to change, if you want to see meaningful progress in your life, you have to understand that there's things that you have to do or change. And not just, tell you, like, because some people have a bad stigma of doctors, like, "Oh, you just tell me what to do," but not just say that you need to do something, but like really take the time. Like, I'll answer your questions.
Oh, we had a big long talk recently.
And I'll give you recommendations.
Yes.
I'm not just saying, "Oh, you're overweight.
Right.
Do this, do that."
Right.
Telling you how, things that you can get into, the reason why, the science behind it, all these different things coming from someone who's really, really very knowledgeable and not just book smart, but like you see it in him.
Oh,
he's incredible.
Do you know what I told him? This is what got us on the conversation. We were talking about working out here and there, that and this and the other. And he was like, "Well, what are you trying to do?" I was like, "I'm trying to get arms like you."
Yeah.
He's 68.
I know.
He's like me. I was like, "Look at your arms."
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Dr. Yee is one of our cardiologists at Castle. He's retiring, but he's
special.
Just a wonderful person, inside and out. His life resume, not just work resume, is really, really special and incredible.
I feel like
very, very motivating, very inspiring.
Very, very. And I feel like we were so lucky to be the travelers that worked till 7, because he would just sit and talk to us. And that meant even if he was like doing his paperwork, we're on this, if he said something, if we said something, he would giggle and be like, "He's listening." Yeah. He's listening. Yeah.
And those are things like, he doesn't have to. He didn't have to stay there and say any of these things. And it makes you think. That's another motivating factor for me. Like, if I can be that same person towards someone in the future, I'd love to. Yeah. I'd love to. If I knew kind of some extra knowledge about this or that, and I can share that, I think that's.
Oh, you will be. You already do that.
Yeah. And I have a really special special place in my heart for Dr. Yee, because he actually served as a letter of recommendation for me to get into NYU. Yep. So I have very high regards for him. So
yeah,
very, very good guy. But you can't have him as your cardiologist.
No, sorry.
He's retiring.
He's retiring.
So, yeah.
And he's like Brian in a way, because he knows, like, the stuff he knows every detail about it.
Very in-depth.
So now he's studying cooking in different forms and different whatever and different all the things.
Yeah. I bought a book recently on Hawaiian cooking.
Nice. He was asking me about grilling different veggies and grilling different things for texture
Mhm.
and stuff like that from going vegan. I was like, I don't know, like the answers he wanted, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I have, yeah. So, he is inspiring.
Yeah.
Really.
Really he is. Yeah. He's
Okay.
into a lot of stuff.
What else you want to talk about? Anything else? You want to say anything? Any last words?
Trying to think of those other topics. I guess just going off of how with sharing experiences with someone, I am looking really, really forward to my move to New York because it'll be like kind of what we've talked about, one of the more permanent places that I've been in a long time.
Does that scare you?
Yes and no. Um, Largest city in America, a lot going on. Some areas safe, some areas not. There's definitely, if anyone was just plopped down in New York City and be like, oh, you're gonna be here for 2 years, like it's a lot to think of. And it's not just you can't just do whatever you want. Like I've got a schedule to be a part of. I've got responsibilities, I've got work, paying a lot of money to go to school. Don't waste it. But I'll try to balance that with a social life and hopefully a relationship in the future. That's something that I'm really, really adamant about.
How do you date in New York City? Online?
I think that's a start. I am on dating platforms, but again, it is hard to say when your locations show this, but I personally know that I'm either not there or I'm not going to be there.
Right.
Um, New York will be home for at least 2 years, potentially more if I accept a job afterwards. But I think what I've told myself is really, really immerse myself in either sporting clubs or things that I'm interested in, groups that I maybe have commonalities with. NYU does some pretty decent kind of structured stuff for that. Like they send out newsletters all the time of like, oh, we're having so and so get
Nice.
together with, whatever groups of people. There could be something related to that we're all like NYU nursing grad students, or yeah, graduate nursing students. So may meet someone there. But I think just to not be a hermit inside the house, go immerse yourself, go do things, say yes to invitations, and be present and willing to try new things. Because I've always said it when people ask, oh, about living in New York, like no matter who you are, what age you are, what race, where you come from, there's always a place and a people for you in New York. You're into weird stuff, you're into hobbies, you're into whatever. There will always be a group that you fit.
Yeah.
Because it's the most diverse place in America and it's the biggest city, and there's international, there's foods, there's sports, there's a lot of travel opportunities out of New York City. Like you can go do a lot of things. So I'm looking forward to trying to meet someone there. We'll see.
Yeah. I hope it'll happen. I know it will. 'Cause you have an open heart, open mind. It's impossible it's not impossible, but it's really hard to like get serious when you're 3 months at a time. Even if you extend for a year, you're still only
Yes.
your mentality is 3 months
Yes.
at a time.
Yeah. And to ask someone to pick up and move everything just for you too, because you wanted to travel.
Right.
That's pretty hard. We've talked about that too. And that's another reason. That's not the reason why I'm going back to school, but I thought about it for sure. Like I want to advance my career, but at the same time, I know that it's not conducive to being in a meaningful relationship where I can give it my all truthfully and honestly to someone else, which I want to, when I know I'm going to leave. And so, as much of as I love new adventures, like I really do want to share that with someone. And as much as I love life, I would love that person
I know
very,
you are gonna be such a good boyfriend.
very, very dearly.
Husband, boyfriend first, husband,
Yeah.
fiance, all the things.
Yeah.
You're gonna be she's gonna be very lucky.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll be a very lucky person to have her.
Very happy.
Very happy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As before I even started the podcast, I think I said I'm going to start a podcast. Will you be on it? So here it is.
Of course.
Okay.